Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to League of Europe. We're at Season 10, it's Round 8, and we are at the dreaded Monaco circuit. I am QVR_killer by my lonesome this week, and we have a bit of a spicy offering this time round, because, as you may have noticed, there's a yellow car out on the track, reminiscent of the 1980s Lotus there by NSX Montana. We've got a mix of cars and looks, because equal cars are broken. Thank you, Codemasters. And safety car is broken as well. So there's a no safety car tonight, and we're in multiplayer cars. Bit of a weird one, but it's Monaco. It's weird anyway, so we may as well lean into that as much as we can. Speaking of Montana, he leads the championship. He has 118 points. He has an 8-point lead over Justas. Montana 5th last week, Justas 2nd. It was a frantic, frenetic, hectic, crazy overtake-strewn race that we had last week at Monza. Cucumber's in 3rd, he's on 91. Sweet Crown won last week, he's on 87. Connor's on 74, Campbell 63, Nathan 61, Julian 57, Verstappen 36, Gary completes the top 10 on 31, and then behind him we've got Izzat, Rocco, Spine, Pease, Mohammed, Kriko, Alp, Ghost Falcon, Marty, and Matu 40. Now, this is obviously the most wheeliest track there is in terms of wheel drivers. We've got Montana, Justas, Cucumber, Connor, and Campbell. They're all on wheels. Gary as well. Spine on a wheel. Kriko's on a wheel if he's here. I don't know if he is. No, he's not. So let's ride a ball with Montana, chucking it into turn 1, 3rd gear, using all the track as much as you can on the exit, taking it all the way out to the barriers, to the Armco, and then again, you just kind of sling the car into turn 3, Massenet, quick dart to the right-hand side for Casino, and then brake in a straight line, get the car turned in nice and early for Mirabeau. And then this awful little corner, the slowest corner in the Formula 1 calendar, the hairpin. And then we arrive at Portier into the tunnel, famous tunnel section. There is only, I think it's the only tunnel now in the Formula 1 calendar now that Singapore's has been deleted from the game. Kink of turn 9 through there, and then the Nouvelle Chicane turn 10 and 11. This is where the wheel drivers will gain. Big, look at that cut from Montana there, and then turn 12 to back, chuck it in, 5th gear. Little lift on the exit. I think Montana couldn't commit to the throttles early, like the swimming pool. Arrives at you very quickly, La Piscine, and then through 15, 16, and then we come into 17 of Rascasse. Get the car hooked around, get on the throttle early, and then dither through Anthony No's hairpin and to the line. And what is it for Montana? It's our first episode at 108.8. That is a very strong effort indeed. I have no idea who's coming to the line, so I've got no idea what anyone's indicators are on the track. Justas lowers the bar by 2 1/3 tenths per second. He does 108.65. Let's ride a ball with Gary now through the Nouvelle Chicane. Let's see how he attacks this. A nice big cut. Rocco has already retired. He's got a quali ban. Felipe has crashed down as well. And at the Nouvelle Chicane, Gary got some traffic, but darts out of the way to the right-hand side immediately for him. Nathan's done a 109.3, 109.8 for Izzat, 110.0 for Ghost Falcon. Gary just straying a little bit wide at Rascasse, gets it turned into Anthony Nose and straightened nice and early as well. Slash has done a 109.8. Gary goes P3 with a 190. The field is very spread out. Maledictus bailed in his first lap at 122. You can do a double push here, but tyre wall overheating is a bit of an issue. Let's have a look at Julebream coming through the first sector. Alp has gone P2 with a 108.7. I apologise, I can't keep on track with who's ending their lap soon, because I don't really know who's running what livery here. Montana does a second push lap, 108.4 for him. So the tyres are good for a second push lap if you want to make use of them. And here comes Julebream now through the tunnel. He's got Gary tucked in behind him on his in-lap, I think, is that possibly? Cucumber's gone third now, 108.69, 100 slower than Montana. Let's see what Julebream can do, though. Julebream, is he a pad user? Is he a wheel driver? He's a pad user. So let's be aiming for, I'd say, a low 9 for a banker lap. Ooh, the car just wandered away from him a little bit there. Next to the second part of the swim pool. And then again, oversteer on the turn in to Rascasse. Oh, and then they cut the barriers as well. It's not been a good final sector for Julebream, but it'll be a respectable lap nonetheless. It's a 109.8, half-tenth shy of what Mohammed's mentioned, as Maledictus does that second push lap, does a 195 himself. Verstappen's popped into 109.4. We've got two groups of drivers here. We've got the wheel drivers, which is the top 5, and then everyone below them on a pad. Pease does 109.8 as well. There's now 4 drivers on 109.8. Top 5 all wheel. I think Vaporizer continues that trend, make it a top 6 on wheel, and then 7 down on the pad. Let's have a look at Marty. Is he on a lap here, coming through the middle sector in the Audi livery there? That's what I'll be rocking in Division 2 later tonight. And he's coming round the final corner, the diamondy, crusty little curb there, and to the line, a 109.8 again. That is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 109.8. Anyone going for a second push lap? Not Verstappen. Nathan did, but didn't improve by 1/100th of a second. Vaporizer's not gone again. Justas is back out and out lap, so he's only doing 1 lap on his tyres. Maledictus will be on his in lap because he's done 2 pushes. Marty's not gone again. Pease is going again. He's up by 0.3 of a second, coming through to back. And now just the last complex to navigate. What can he achieve? Is it a 9.8? No, it's a 9.6. He goes into the top 10, does Pease. He left a warning for the rest of the grid, so you do not want to be starting behind me. Well, right now, there's going to be a fair few people starting behind him. Let's go to Justas, who's on his outlap. I think he's the furthest through on his outlap. He is in the special one-off Alfa Romeo livery from the Italian Grand Prix. Let's see what he can do. Let's go on board with the man who's second in the championship. See how this lap compares to what Montana did earlier on. 4th gear through Sandoval for Justas. Interesting difference to note. Montana was in 3rd, 4th for Justas. Let's see how he approaches Massenet. The car looked like it just wanted to wander a little bit wide on the way in, but then really aggressive with the turn in. The turn 4, turn 5 arrives at you very quickly. You want to rotate the car nice and early, because if you stray wide, you could lose so much time. And look at the rear lock, the drift through the hairpin there for Justas. That's an interesting technique, not one I've acquainted myself with. In fact, the lap's gone. He's backed off. It wasn't obviously a deliberate drift. Sweet Crown is on lap. He's up by 4/100ths, and he's gone invalid at the Nouvelle Chicane. So we'll go to Spine now, who's coming around to finish his first flying effort, also in that yellow Lotus mustardy yellow that Montana is sharing. These guys in the Aston Martins, of course, normally they're in the Bernardo car today. 109.1 for him. Less than a 10th shy, in fact just over 100th shy of Gary. Let's have a look who's about to start. Let's come on with Alp. Alp did a 108.7 first time round. He's looked quick, and he's in a interesting livery there. Interesting, read ugly. Reminds me a little bit of the Petronas Sauber of the early to mid 2000s and late 90s as well. Let's see what he can do. He's in 3rd gear round the first corner, lets the car bite into the track a little bit better, but it is probably a higher risk for making a mistake, or it is for me anyway. Oh, I had to have a couple of bites turning in to turn 4 and ended up having to run a little bit wide, and then again another couple of stabs at getting the car turned in to turn 5. The hairpin's turn 6, car runs all the way wide as he rear locking that we saw with Justas as well, and then into Portier. Easy to understeer there. He got the car turned in nicely. And I presume he's still up on his time, but it doesn't look quick, does it, when you're on board? Coming to the Nouvelle Chicane now. Let's have a look how much he cuts this. Oh, that's beautiful. All the way over the yellow bumpy bits there. And then the short run to the back, flick the car in 5th gear. Hits the barrier on the exit. That'll slow him down. He's up by over 1/3 of a second. Shuck the car in the second part of the swimming pool. And they're so much easier to have a go at now since they opened up the barriers there in the early 2000s. And then Anthony Nose is all that's left, and he gets the traction down. And dash to the line, take the right side for a short run around the curve. A 108.3, Alp goes provisional pole, but Montana's improving behind him. What can Montana do? He lowers the bar even further. It's 108.2 for NSX Montana. Vaporizer is on a lap. He's a 10th down in the first sector. Let's have a look further back. Verstappen's gone invalid. Maledictus has hit the wall, at the Nouvelle Chicane, so he's going to back off immediately. Ghost Falcon to Portier. Is that as well? Let's see what these guys can do. In fact, Ghost Falcon's not on a lap. He's got his D-rating, got that red blinking light to show the car's harvesting power. Let's see what is made of in the pink car. The Singaporean Julbream retires from the session. He's hit the wall here at the Nouvelle Chicane. I don't know how he's managed to get the car to the right-hand side of the track in the run-up there, but he will not be going any faster in this session. 109.8, and P17 is the best he can manage. Is that looks really tidy here. Didn't use as much of the track as he could have done on the exit of the second swimming pool. But nonetheless, a tidy lap from his lap. This is going to move him up the order, I should think. He'll still be in the 1:09. He goes a 1:09.0. P6 is that. That's a good effort. A mighty effort, in fact, for a driver who is, as far as I know, on a pad. Speaking of pad drivers, here comes Nathan, really tight there through Raskas, or La Raskas, and then Anthony knows the car straight a little bit wide, and he's kissing the wall there on the inside line. Does he get to the X? He does. Goes P6 on the pad. Again, a super effort from Nathan. Gary is getting exposed here. Let's see what he can do. 7 minutes left in the session. Gary into Mazanet, and then Casino and Mirabeau, names of corners synonymous with Formula One and this track's rich motoring history. It's a Formula E track as well. They hold classic retro Grand Prix here with old cars from bygone years, and here's a bygone driver in Gary Donegan through the tunnel now towards Nouvelle Chicane. He's got one of those yellowy bananas in front of him. Let's see how he approaches this. I wonder if the tyre is on Gary's screen as well as it is on ours. There's a pink car. That might be Isaac taking well out of Gary's way into Tabac. Gary chucks the car in. He's still only a 10th up. He's not improved by too much, and that was playing dare with the wall there on the inside of the swimming pool, but he got away with it. And then again, although he turned it a little earlier, shade early into Raskas, had to make a minor correction, just unload the wheels slightly to the line. So 1:08.7, Gary improves by a third of a second, goes P6 behind Vaporizer, who's just starting his next effort. Cucumber's up by half a tenth as well. He's coming through the middle sector now. Really nice cut, gets up, picks up power super early, stays to the right hand side, and that was really smooth through to back. He's up by 2/10 now as we come into the final sector. I think the final sector is the real differentiator here between the quick drivers and the slow drivers in terms of the amount of commitment you can take into the swimming pool. And this looked good from Cucumber. What can he manage? It's going to be an 8, and it's 8.1. It's pole position for NSX Cucumber. Montana's on out behind him, so goes Alp, and Justas 12 is in the wall on the exit of the Nouvelle Chicane. I'm intrigued how he's managed that one at turn 11. He will not be improving on this effort. Gary's gone again, I think. Gary has gone again, so let's stick with Gary for the end of this. Let's go back to Max Verstappen. He is derating. Yes, he is, but he's still improving enough to get to the line and go again. He does an 8.6, improves by another position and a tenth of a second as well. So with some fresh tyres, there's certainly more in that for Gary. Yes, that is going again despite his crash. He's cleaned those tyres up. Verstappen was improving through first sector, but he's got invalid again. He'll be backing off, harvesting some ERS, ready to go again. So let's go to our championship contenders. Montana's just starting. Justas, let's see what we can do for first sector. A bit of tail slide, and again he's backed off. He's lost half a second. Alp is on a lap then, so it's Alp and Montana we're turning our attention to. Alp finds half a tenth through the first sector. Let's see what Montana can do. Staying very tight in through turn 3, strays a little bit wide in 4, runs the barrier close, but he's up by 600ths in the first intermediate split, and then again almost clipping the wall on the way into the hairpin, trying to just open it up as much as possible, get the shallowest angle he can, mounting the pavement or the sidewalk there on the inside of turn 7. And where is Alps crashed, excuse me, I was just looking at my track map there. He's crashed at the Nouvelle Chicane. Montana and Cucumber, this looks to be between now for pole position. Is that distracted Montana through the chicane? Is he still up? He is up by a tenth of a second. This will take him to pole position if he hangs on to this, but he hits the wall on the exit of turn 16 and then into 17. La Raskas 18 and 19 just to come now, and he strays wide into Anthony Nose. Can Montana still improve? Is he still got pole position in him? No, he hasn't. He's lost too much time. It's a 1:08.3 for him, so Cucumber holds on to provisional pole position. Justas has bailed. He's gone into the pits. One more lap, one more set of tyres for everyone involved here. Vaporizer's on out lap. Nathan is on a lap, but he's a tenth down in the first sector. But has he got more time in the middle part of the lap? Let's have a look now. We've got 2 tyres there, and Nathan goes invalid, cuts the chicane. If he's got a set of tyres left, he'll come in, go back out again. If he hasn't got a set of tyres left, he'll back off, charge some battery, and go immediately on another lap. And I think he is just looking to get back to the pits from the looks of this. So Nathan has got some more tyres. He's going to go again. He's going to get a quick turnaround from his Mechanics. They are Mercedes mechanics, well, they should be, really. Ghost Falcon, is he on a lap? He is, and he's up by the thick end of 2/10 in the first sector. 18.3, still not spectacular. We've seen 18.0s through there today, and then the car looking cumbersome, and then not sticking on the exit either as you get it turned into the hairpin. So let's look at Montana. Is he going to go again on this set of tyres? He must be. No, he's 2:30 left in session. He thinks he can get this turned around and back out sharpish. But of course, they don't know who they're sharing their garage with necessarily, which would be an inconvenience if you arrive just as someone's leaving. Could put an end to your session. Let's go with. Let's follow Vaporizer. Also in the NSX Gold, Mustard Gold, Metallic. Nice finish there. That's what Vaporizer does through the first sector. 18.0. That's the 18.0 I mentioned. Right on cue. Up by 1 and a bit tenths there on his lap. And we've lost engine sound. How exciting. Oh, there we go. It's back. He's on an 8.7 right now. If he keeps this up, he'll be on... Well, he'll better Gary's time at least. Probably Justas's as well. They're both on outlaps right now. Izat's on a lap behind him. Spine is about to finish. He's up by 1/4 of a second through the middle split. 2 technically corners to go. Got to go. That's just people getting out of the way up the hill to Mazeney. Spine to the line. Is he in the 8s? He is in 8.7. Improves by 3/10. Beats out Vaporizer, who's on a lap and is about to finish now. Vaporizer only up by 6/100ths of a second. That 6/100ths would put him back ahead of Spine, though. And if it's a good final sector, it put him ahead of Gary, and it does. It puts him ahead of Gary and Justas. It was a mighty final sector for Vaporizer. Goes P4. If he's got any performance left in that tyre, he will go again. These will be people starting their final laps now. Let's see what Justas is like through the first sector. An 18.0, up by 1/4 of a tenth. Not a massive gain. Have we got anyone coming to the line? Is that not improving? Maledictus, I think, has just finished improving. People still starting laps. Gary, I think, is quite far along. As is ET8 Mohammed, I believe. Yes, he is. He's up by 1/10.5 as well. Blessed that he's the only one with a burgundy icon on the track map. You get that screen time exposure. Let's see what he can do. Can he get in the 8s? Nowhere near, but he does a 1.91. Goes P12. Back to Gary now to the line. And Gary's made a mistake. He's backed off, or he's on his outlap. I think he's backed off and he's going again because he lost 5/10 of a second. Oh, and contact there. Justas hits the back of... I'm not sure who that is it? I don't know. Is it Marty? It is Marty. Justas hit the back of Marty. He's lost his front wing. That scuppered his chances of pole position. Marty's going to go again. I'd love to see what happened there. We just saw something else there as well. Justas has retired... who was that? Was it Izat? Yeah, Izat crashed. Sorry, Justas retired in the pits. Izat retired at the Nouvelle Chicane. It's third victim of the day. The checkered flag is out, but look how many people are already out of this session. Maledictus retired as well. We've got very few people on laps. Cucumber is up by 9/1000ths of a second, though. Can he edge us towards the 108.0s, maybe even the 107s if he's got a big last sector in him? What's this going to be? It's a 108.1. He improves by 1/4 of a tenth. And he has 85 thousandths advantage over Montana, who goes invalid. He will not be improving. Gary's invalid as well. Nathan's the only one on a lap in the top 10 who might still improve. We don't know if he's improving. Let's see what he can manage across the line now. Nathan goes P5, beats out Justas, beats out Gary. Marty's on a lap. He's not improving. He's going to be the last one across the line, but it's Cucumber Montana on the front row of the grid. Marty has a little squirm there. Alps in P3, Vaporizer P4. Nathan and Justas on row 3. Gary, we're disappointed with 7th. Marty does not improve. That's everyone. We're just waiting for Montana to retire from the session. But that was an error-strewn session. Some people didn't get clean laps on the board. I saw Verstappen invalid a few times. Gary invalid at the end as well. And obviously, whatever happened with Justas and Marty, God knows what. But that brings an end to the session, ladies and gentlemen. I say ladies and gentlemen, just gentlemen probably. The ladies will have something better to do. Have we got any juicy gossip in the D1 chat? Julian says, Marty, what are you doing? My thoughts are the same. to be honest. And Marty said, sorry, it was hard to see your dot. It was black. That is just low-key racism, but, you know, it is what it is. Cucumbers poll from Montana, out, Vaporizer. Nathan, Justas, Gary, Spine, Izat, Maledictus, Peas, Mohammed, Marty, Verstappen, Sweet Crown, Falcon, Jewelbream, and then Felipe and Rocco didn't do laps, although Rocco had the excuse of a qualifying ban. Yes, that says, you blocked me, you dumbass. I agree. It's impossible to disagree, to be honest. And I think a steward's report will be coming Marty's way soon enough. Alright, let's get cracking with the race. It is a one-stop, but as far as I know, it's going to be hard medium or medium hard. If you want to do a short first stint, obviously you'll go for the mediums. There'll be some people that probably try that, start mediums, make an early pit stop, and go long on hards. I think most will start hards, though, would be my guess before I expose myself. No, we've got a mix. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mediums, 8 hards, and a soft. The soft is Jewelbream, starting down to P17, out of position, wants to make some early moves. He'll probably start softs and come in lap 3 or 4 and just go long and hard to the end, try and get an overcut on a lot of people. So it's our top 2 on mediums. Alp's the first hard runner. Nathan, Justas, and Gary all on hards as well, and Vaporizer on mediums. So the NSX boys have swung one way, Spine's on mediums as well. Everybody else has swung the other. And we'll see how that plays out. I don't actually know the pit lap, I'll be honest with you. It's also occurred to me I don't have a drink to take me through the session this evening. Excuse me, I'm having to reply to an urgent message. Right, so, predictions. Who are your predictions, QVR Killer, for tonight's race? Well, I don't really know. I think it's hard to look past, probably, Cucumber and Montana, to be honest. Montana hasn't really excelled this season. He's due one. I think it's going to be an NSX 1-2, probably Justas in P3, maybe someone like Alp, but Alp has no luck this season. Right, let's get rid of this gump on our screen. So we're ready to go for 39 laps of Monaco action. It is an NSX front row. It's Cucumber ahead of Montana. We've got 5 lights on ahead of our drivers. And for round 8 of LOE, we are underway. And that looked a good start from Montana. They're going to be side by side in turn 1. No, they're not. Cucumber stays ahead. Vaporizer those up into P3. He goes around the outside of Alp as they all climb up the hill now. Let's have a look in the mid-pack. We've got Justas. And there's a little bit of battling here. Going up the inside is Peas trying to have a look at Izat there. A little bit of contact as well for Peas, tagging the rear corner of Izat. And then a massive slide from Maledictus as well. They're trying to get the power down. And there goes Maledictus up the inside of Peas. They bump wheels. Also very deep behind them goes Mohammed. And then it's a traffic jam into the hairpin. We've got the Audi liveried Marty there. Concertina is finally, for once, the appropriate word in commentary through there. And Sweet Crown comes out on top of Ghost Falcon and Jewelry. He's not made up any places on those soft tyres, so that lot of good they did him. Cucumber leads Montana, leads Vaporizer, leads Alp. Nathan's kept hold of 5th place. Justas is 6th. Gary's in 7th. He's not lost any places. That's the benefit of having such a short run down to turn 1, is it doesn't cause you any problems. And you already start to see gaps open up here in terms of how confident people are feeling in these early stages. We've got a second gap from Vaporizer to Montana, for example. 1.1 seconds now. But it's all been nice and tidy on the first lap. We haven't had a first lap pit stop at Monaco. That is a shock. That is remarkable from all involved. And have we got a battle to speak of? No, we haven't. Oh, remember, no safety cars as well. So, you know, these guys will want to be super cautious. There's no chance of an Aston Martin AMG, an Aston Martin, whatever it is, or a Mercedes AMG. As there goes a dive from, is that Jewellery up the inside of Ghost Falcon? It is. Can't make the move, stick on the soft tyres, get squeezed to the wall. Bit of contact between them. We're on board with Rocco as Ghost Falcon just clips the corner there. And it's going to be a drag race towards the Nouvelle Chicane. Can Jewellery? He pulls out to the right hand side. Can he have a lunge now? He's around the outside, and I think he's got that place done. He has indeed. Look at the blaring white livery there as Jewellery all struggles to get the power down on the soft tyres, but does get through to P16. And he has made up one place now on his soft tyres. And what a start to the race it's been. Nothing has happened. Cucumber with the fast lap race of 1:11.167. The leaders are stringing themselves out here. DRS is enabled. It's not going to do fatal difference for anyone, really. Vaporizer is now 1.8 behind Montana. He's struggling a little bit. Alps in touching distance, 7/10 back, but no one else seems inclined to follow or is able to follow too closely. Justas is probably in the most prime position right now because Nathan is more than a second back from Alpes. Jewellery retires at Casino at turn 3. There'll be no safety car, of course. But that is our first casualty of the day. And the poor qualifying, the crashing qualifying, has cascaded into a crash in the race, born of frustration. He made no progress, was already falling off the train. But these guys do not have to worry about safety cars at all. Penalties, I think, will be a factor. A little bit of a squirm there for Justas coming through the Nouvelle Chicane. Nathan doesn't look like he can hang on to the back of Alp all that well. They are both on hard tyres, of course, but Nathan, credit to him, he's on a pad, he's doing a good job. Alp is putting pressure on Vaporizer, now 2.4 behind Montana, to make that 2.5. The top two seem to have an edge over the rest of the field. The Vaporizer is a nice stopgap in that for them. Intentionally or otherwise, he can back these guys who might be proposed more of a threat later on in the race into each other and just let them scamper away. Because remember, the top two are on mediums, the top three are on medium. The Vaporizer's medium pace is nowhere near that of his team NSX colleagues. And he's in fact slower than those running hards right now behind him. We've got a bit of a train behind Pease. It's probably the longest train right now. Maledict is trying to have a look. They're all on medium tyres, these guys. And is there a lunge forthcoming? No, there's not. But there's a bit of contact there. Marty hitting the back of Verstappen, I think, touched the back of Mohammed. And we've got a really, really boring race ahead of us, it has to be said. And I think our best hope for an overtake right now is coming from Pease, who had a bit of a... Malix, who had a bit of a squirm on the exit. The Vaporizer is now 3 seconds behind Montana. Look at that. This is nose to tail stuff, quite literally, from Maledictus to Pease. Pease is really struggling in these early stages. He did say, I hope you don't get caught behind me. Well, guess what? He's got 5 people caught behind him right now. I think that's 6, actually, because Rocco's in there as well. And here comes Maledictus. He's going around the outside of Pease in towards turn 1. He's going to force Pease to take a tight line. Might try to duck underneath him, get a run up the hill, but the track really pinches up the way. It zigzags and seesaws as they go up towards Massenet. In contact between them, and that's the front wing lost for Maledictus and for Pease as well, I believe. Mohammed and Verstappen get through. Pease keeps P12. He goes straight on, though, at Rosberg corner. And there's now contact between Rocco behind Maledictus. Maledictus is running ahead of us without a front wing. Ghost Falcon and Felipe are in a bit of a scrap as well. And it's going to be an agonising lap for Rocco if he can't get past immediately. He gets a good run out of Porte. He's going to have to dump all of his ERS. But and Maledictus sensibly decides to let him go through. Doesn't want to ruin Rocco's race too much. I think Pease was probably to blame there. I think that battle was lost. He just needed to, the track zigzags up that hill. I think you've just got to accept you've been outplayed there and just let it go. Just lift off. It's not sensible to try and stick 2 Formula 1 cars through there, even if you are a little bit alongside. If you're the car behind, in my view. And there's a risk of contact. Let him go. Marty comes into the pits. Verstappen passes Mohammed down the pit straight. We're on to lap 6 now, and the field is strung out by a distance. Rocco, qualifying ban, 20 seconds off the lead, and we're on lap 6. We're not even halfway round lap 6, and he's 20 seconds off the lead. Vaporizer now 5 seconds off the lead. Alp can't do anything about him. We've still got this another little train here. It's Gary Spine and Isaac. Gary's not finding any purchase on his hard tyres in the opening stages. He's got 2 medium sets behind him though, which might excuse him. But then Justas and Nathan ahead of him on hards. Gary's not been able to live with their pace. The other thing get my words up. It's worth mentioning here is that drivers will probably, on balance probability, some of them will pick up light wing damage at some point that won't show cosmetically on stream. So there could be drivers running around with wing damage at this point who have just clipped a wall somewhere who we don't know about. Gary could be one of those, or he could just be slow. Vaporizer could well be one of those, given his pace to Montana and to Cucumber again, or he could just be slow. It's very hard to tell because you don't have the visual effect necessarily of the wing damage. Justas, he was very close to Nathan, then had a little mistake we saw a few laps ago. Now he's back in range of the Brit, the Lithuanian, and can he do anything about that? I think Nathan will be very happy just controlling his pace, driving at something a speed that's comfortable for him, and letting Justas feel frustrated. Same goes for Gary, with Izat and Spine behind him. This train has been completely broken up now by Marty's pit stop, and obviously P's is contact with Maledictus as well. They're down in running around in 17th and 18th place, 52 and 54 seconds off the lead respectively. Let's go back to interval. Let's see how close Alp is to Vaporizer. Still not really in a position to challenge. Justas in a better position though, as you can see by you could put a cigarette paper between the two cars there through the last corner. I don't know why that's a phrase that people say. But there we go. A cigarette paper's width between them as they came through Rascasse on that last lap. We're now on to lap 8 as they're climbing up the hill once again. I am running out of things to say. Vaporizer's gap to Montana, 4.5 seconds. It feels like Vaporizer's not 100% confident, so he's just controlling his pace and minding his own business, avoiding penalties. Speaking of, we haven't seen any penalties pop up yet. I'd like to go and have a look at the warnings, but I'm scared I won't be able to get... There we go, thank you, Pete, right on time. To get back out of the race director, let's take the risk. Let's have a look at incidents. So, we've got track limits penalties for Alp, for Sweet Crown, for Julbrim, who's retired, obviously. Justas and Sweet Crown. Sweet Crown's running on 2 track limits penalties, 2 of them from lap 1. Alp's on 2 as well. Marty's got 1, Izat's got 1, there's P's. Verstappen's got 1, Felipe's got 1, P's is second. Verstappen's got 2, Goes Falcon, Marty. Goes Falcon is on 2 again, and there's P's penalty. Goes Falcon's just got a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and he's retired from the session in the protest. Had enough of Monaco, have you there? Goes Falcon, mate. I'm waiting for something to happen. Nothing's happening. I'm regretting my decision, really, to offer to commentate. I could have been playing EA Sports FC 24 right now. Other sports franchise video games are available. Is anything happening? The answer is no. I think the answer is when do we see some medium runners come in for some pit stops? Because we're at a point now where there's going to be gaps to feed into. It's about an 18, or less than that actually, second pit loss. So if Cucumber were to pit now, he'd come out around Verstappen, who's running a lonely race since he cleared Maledictus and Peeves. Montana would come out probably just behind Verstappen. As Marty retires at turn 2, there's another casualty. No risk of a safety car, of course, so the retirements don't bring the hype that they did. Alp gets the penalty. That's his 3rd warning. We mentioned he was on 2. That's his 3rd. And a penalty to boot. Justas still cannot do anything about Nathan. These guys will all be running 50-50 wings, so it's not about an aero difference that Nathan's running lower wings. It will just be a case of can't get the grip or can't out-traction the car ahead because they're on identical tyres as well, so it's hard to do anything. Mohammed comes in for a scheduled stop. I think he's the first medium runner to make a scheduled stop. No wing change, that's always nice to see, and he's out and on his way in short order. The leader's pace isn't actually that quick. I think it's just Vaporizers was quite slow to start with, because Verstappen is running at the pace of the leaders now. He was 17.7 seconds behind last lap. He's still 17.7 seconds behind this lap. I can't get my S's out. But 17.6 now. So yeah, I think these guys are just running to a pace, and people are matching that at the moment. Vaporizer hasn't dropped back for too much for a couple of laps. He is the slow one. But since Verstappen is cleared, P's and Maledictus, I think that is worth a shout out. He's on a pad, but he's running at a good pace. He's not falling back at an inordinate rate in this race. Justas still in a position where he cannot do anything about Nathan. And I think, these guys' pace will be just thinking about self-preservation mode. Monaco, Silverstone and Qatar, those kinds of tracks where they're high-speed corners, they demand full commitment all the time. Here, you're going to be driving at 70, 80% for most of the race. There is no point taking a stupid risk for the sake of an extra tenth of a lap when the field is as spread out as it is, when there's no safety cars to bail you out or get you back into it if you make a mistake. Vaporizer is now nearly 6 seconds off the lead. Verstappen's 8.2. So I think Verstappen he's setting on Vaporizer's pace. I think he might be a shade quicker, which shows you just how much Pease and Maledictus were holding that train up. Pease especially, because he was at the front of it. So let's remind ourselves who's on what tyre. So the top 3 are on mediums, and then 8, 9 and 10 are on mediums, and 12 is on mediums. Our soft runner out of the race. So we have got a 9 cars on hards now, 7 cars on mediums, because we've lost 2 medium runners. That's 6.9, no, not 6.9, 5.9 seconds for Vaporizer. He is, do we think he's running with damage? I don't think so, but he could be. Just based on his qualifying pace, but the qualifying pace does not necessarily translate into a race pace. I feel Justas would be very frustrated in this, knowing Montana's P2. And if Cucumber and Montana wanted to engineer a swap around over a pit stop, because the undercut here is about 3 seconds per lap to start with anyway. So if they wanted to engineer a swap around, it would be quite easy just to bring Cucumber in first and then give Montana the win. Because if they are thinking in NSX terms rather than Alfa Romeo versus Aston Martin terms, it makes sense that Montana wins this race. He's kept the gap at about 1.1 seconds for a really long time now. It's still Gary and Nathan, the ones under pressure. Vaporizer, a little bit less so. Alp, I wouldn't say, has ever got into a position where he's looked really threatening, Vaporizer, which is less than can be said for Justas, who has hounded Nathan's fake Mercedes for quite a number of laps now, and it stayed very close during that time. He's not worried about Nathan making a mistake and Justas picking up some wing damage from it. He's happy to run around. And also, I know they're on fresh tyres, but Pease and Maledictus are actually on a quicker pace than the leaders right now, or have been since their pit stop. Because they're still only 51 and 52 seconds off the lead. They were 52 and 54. Pease gets the second penalty of the day. And there's still only 2 drivers on penalties, him and Alp, which surprises me a little bit. I'm still looking at Verstappen, 18.6 seconds off the lead. And that's the problem for Cucumber and Montana. These tyres are starting to feel a little bit rubbish. Oh, God help us. Pease and Maledictus are at it again up the hill into Massenet. This time, Maledictus had the sense that Pease didn't have to lift off and let him go when he made that overtake. These guys are limited by, when they can make their stop, by Isat right now. Verstappen's now 19.3 off the lead, so both of them will clear him when they come in. But Isat, Spine, Gary, that little train is a problem for them. because they're going to come out behind them, get stuck, or potentially get stuck, or have to take a risk to get past anyway, which will hand initiative back to Alp and Nathan and Justas. But I don't know why the sound keeps cutting out when we get to the hairpin on this wide shot. Very bizarre. Fun little glitch. But the thing that works in their favour is that Vaporizer is holding the train back quite a bit now. The gap's 6.9 seconds from Montana to Vaporizer. Maledictus comes into the pits. As we've got a yellow flag, that's Maledictus retiring in the pits. We're now down to 15 runners. 3 more, and it's guaranteed points if you make it halfway through, or to the end of lap 35. Alp is now as close as he's been to Vaporizer. I think those medium tyres are suffering now. They must be feeling a bit rubbish. If you come in, you're going to be 3 seconds a lap quicker. If Alp were to come in and go into mediums, I think you'd find that Montana and Cucumber would be forced to pit, as gets right in the way there. There's Maledictus' car coming up the hill. Wasn't ghosted either, it looked like. So Vaporizer had a big problem to negotiate there. Let's hope Gary gets that. They all... This was a problem. It's just despawned, thank God. But that was... Oh no, it's not despawned. It's still going around his Maledictus' car. It's going to go all the way there. It's caused a bit of a problem for everybody involved. Those retiring in the pit lane. It's probably better off. It's a track where it's better off to crash if you're being considerate to other cars. It's better to just drive into a wall than it is to retire in the pit lane. Let's go back to our battle for P3. Vaporizer holding back Alp, and Justas and Nathan are now closing in on this, which I think is evidence to the fact that Vaporizer's tyres are really going. On leader watch, I think Cucumber and probably Montana would now clear Izat in P9, 18.2 seconds. Once they can clear Gary, I think they would be happy to come in. They'd have 23 laps to do on a set of hard tyres, which would be manageable. We're approaching half distance. We've got another few laps to get there yet. You can see how close Spine is to Gary now. Gary had looked comfortable, not so much anymore. Pease gets his 3rd penalty of the day. Niasa still can do nothing about Nathan. Alp still can do nothing about Vaporizer. These are the battles we're watching. Montana's lost a little bit of ground to Cucumber as well. He's now 1.5 seconds. I don't know why anybody who's watching this stream is watching this stream. It is the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life. But it's Monaco. It deserves a place on the LOE calendar. Fight me on that. I will die by that opinion that Monaco belongs on any calendar. Look how close Alp is now out of the Nouvelle Chicane. In the traction zones, he's gaining, but look at the dirty air through to back. Alp couldn't get the car turned in. I think that'll be a little bit of front graining as well. The tyres just not gripping up when you crank the wheel on as much as you would like. And again, Raskas, the car just not turning in for Alp. That could be a sign that he's got a little bit of damage. Alternatively, it could just be a sign that his tyres have gone off and he's a bit grumpy. Penalty for Mohammed. We have a yellow flag. I'm not sure who that was for briefly. Oh, it's for Peas getting lapped. That's what it's for. Is that into the pits? No damage for him. Onto the hard tyres, and away he goes. And he'll come out ahead of Felipe, I believe. Yes, he will. 1.8 seconds now for Montana to Cucumber. Meanwhile, this battle for 3rd is now hotting up, and if anyone fancies an early pit stop or a long medium run, they've got a shot here. I mean, Vaporizer is 10 seconds off the lead. If you were to pit now, you would come out, if you were Vaporizer, in a nice 8-second gap between Vaporizer and Sweetcrown. Between Spine and Sweetcrown. So if you're Vaporizer and you pit, you come out in a nice gap between Spine and Sweetcrown. It's worth consideration, I think, almost at this point. Pease retires on track. Let's see what cooks in the next couple of laps as we move towards the pit stop phase. or Montana's reeled in Cucumber a little bit. The gap's now down to 1.3, or it was briefly. These guys now 9 seconds in Montana's case, 10.5 Cucumber's case, clear of the chasing pack. They will soon have a pit stop in hand over everybody. There's that gap between Justas and Gary's now opening up for these guys were they to pit, which you can see in the tunnel on your minimap in the bottom right hand side of your screen. But still, corking the bottle continues to be Vaporizer. I don't think at this point Alp and Nathan go that much quicker if they did get past, but they need to try something sooner rather than later because they're just losing so much time. There's a big rear lock for Vaporizer, and he bails into the pit lane, and he's going to get a big undercut now on these guys, and he's going to keep his position ahead of them. And you think, as long as Vaporizer keeps it clean now, he's not going to lose the position because he's undercut these guys. He's going to be 2 or 3 seconds ahead of them. Spine pits as well. So this is opening up the window now for our leaders to pit. Vaporizer is just going to be able to just sit on the hard tyres in front of these guys and hold off the position. Because he gets the undercut. You don't get the undercut if you're on the hard tyres. You get an overcut, and the other overcut is awful. So where is he come out as Vaporizer? He's 30.2 off the lead, and he's in that big gap between Verstappen, or was Spine and Sweet Crown, but Spine pitted. 30.2 off the lead, 30.1. Let's see how much he gains through here. 30.0. Still 30.0. 29.9. We're actually clock watching now. 29.9, 29.8, 29.7, 29.6. So yeah, this is Vaporizer is going to gain big here. So our leaders still haven't pitted. Is he that? Passes Rocco through the tunnel. Is Rocco going to fancy a send back up the inside now? No, he's not. Vaporizer is now 29.4. 29.3. Yeah, so he could be well clear of Alp by the time Alp comes into the pits. The gap between them is less than 18 seconds now, so 18, 19 seconds is about what you lose in the pits. Thank God we are now past half distance. Because this race is really boring. It's like the opposite of Monza last week. Still, Justas doing nothing, but these guys, I think, to show the Vaporizer is holding up a little bit. We've got a crasher. That's Rocco. Has gone straight on. Spine has as well. They've both got wing damage. Have these guys come together with Spine trying to get past Rocco on fresh tyres? And Rocco wasn't having any of it, perhaps, there. And if these guys come in and retire the pits, we'll be getting guaranteed points for all involved. Spine is going to have to make another pit stop because he's lost his front wing. Rocco looks like he's got damage as well. Sorry, we're on board with Felipe. Felipe looks like he's got damage because that car didn't want to turn into Casino. Knowing Felipe, he'll say he's got good pace though, and doesn't deserve to go down to D2 because he's getting points. Our leaders come into the pits, or one of them does. It's Montana, and Nathan comes in. Nathan changing very early onto the medium tyres, so he's our first hard runner to pit. And this is what I was talking about. Montana comes in before Cucumber. It's an engineered undercut for the NSX drivers, as Vaporizer is going to come out well ahead of Nathan, and Sweet Crown undercuts Gary as well. Gary's going to be absolutely nowhere in this race now, down to P10 by staying out long. I don't know why people thought hard medium was a good strategy, because the undercut was so powerful, and you do not get an undercut on hard medium. You have to go long, and then you go long, you're on fresh tyres, but you're stuck behind on a track you can't overtake on. Everyone who started on the hard tyres is an idiot. I'm sorry to say it. Everyone who started on the hard tyres is an absolute nonce. Cucumber leads. Is he going to come in this lap? If he's going to come in this lap, oh look, how suspicious. Montana came in first, and then Cucumber a lap later, even though they're not teammates. And oh look, Montana's going to conveniently take the lead of the race. I know Montana does sometimes listen to the streams while he drives, so shout out my guy. But this looks highly scripted between two people who are not teammates to get the one who's in a championship fight into the lead of the race. Oh look, and the one who's in a championship fight has got the lead of the race. Imagine my surprise. I'm so shocked. Alp is into the pits. He's onto the medium tyres. He's going to come out behind Nathan. Nathan has one out. And this is why you don't start on the hards, because Alp has now lost, what? 2 seconds to Nathan for the sake of staying out 1 extra lap. 2.5 seconds to Nathan for the sake of staying out 1 extra lap. He was ahead of him on track. It's an awful decision. Everyone is just stupid. Just absolutely stupid. Here comes Sweet Crown versus Mohammed out in the pits. Sweet Crown just about ahead of Mohammed. Bear with me 1 second. My lovelies. Let's have a look at Verstappen with Vaporizer behind him there for P4. So Montana now leads Cucumber by 0.7 of a second, but I think these guys are just going to follow around like this now to the end of the race. I know Montana could have genuinely undercut Cucumber, but you'd think, like, if they're probably in a party together. In fact, I know they're in a party together because I've been told by their Jeff before in stream chat that they're in a party together. So it does look a little bit suspicious to me, but, you know, what do I know? Look at me peddling the conspiracy theories. I'm probably right, though, aren't I? Have we got anything happening on track? No, not at all. Our top two are the only people who are within DRS range of each other. We know they're not going to fight. I'll be honest, gang. I can't be bothered to commentate any more of this. It's shocking. I need my good pal outside Nova to talk about Dorito flavors or something with, because this is just abysmal. The strategy's happened now, so I can't even speculate on pit stops. Everyone is pitted. This is your order. This is how the race is going to end. And here we are. So, I don't know. I'm trying to muster some professionalism, but I am really struggling. So Justas has retired. Justas has retired. He's crashed on the exit of the Nouvelle Chicane. The championship challenger is out, and Montana is going to take a giant leap towards a 6th LOE title here with victory in Monaco, because his main rival, Justas, is out of the race, and I've mustered enough enthusiasm for the next 16 laps, so we're going to be back to being miserable now. Nathan, P4, what a race he's going to be on. P3, if he can get past Vaporizer. There is a podium, and there's contact between them. Nathan hits the back of Vaporizer into Mirabeau. Has he escaped damage? Does this bring Alt back into play? Vaporizer is so slow, as he has been all race. Nathan's on the fresher tyres. He needs to get the move done quickly. They're both using their ERS. I think this is worth a send from Nathan, you know. But Vaporizer, I think Vaporizer might be running lower wings, because he pulled away there and Nathan had slipstream. They were both using their ERS. I think Vaporizer's running not 50-50 wings. That would make sense to me as to why he was so slow and why he just, like, Nathan couldn't catch him. I mean, Nathan's barely catching him down straight there with DRS and slipstream, so I think Vaporizer's not running 50-50 wings. That's my instinct. Have we got anything going on? No, of course we don't. Top two, still half a second. And then we've got the battle for P3, and we have a battle between Izzat and Gary for P6. Gary's tied 7th, he's still 7th. His pace has been nowhere this race, despite being on a wheel. He's getting beaten by a pad driver in Izzat Kush, and one who doesn't really care enough to practice all that much either, whereas Gary's been sweating his tits off all week. Mohammed gets the penalty. And can Gary get the run he needs on Izzat? He's got slipstream, he's got DRS, he's got ERS, but then he just runs out straight just as he's starting to gain. Izzat locks up though into turn 1. The rear steps out on him. Gary's got the slipstream and the run towards Massenet. Has he got enough space here to chuck a send up the inside or the outside? No, but Izzat goes deep. Gary tries to sail force his way up the inside, and that was unwise, and Gary realised that smartly enough and had to concede. Nathan's now 3/10 behind Vaporizer, who's as close as he's been now as we come down towards the tunnel. This is going to be a send for Nathan. It has to be a send. No, it's not. He's too chicken. And Vaporizer holds on to the podium placing here. Nathan will tell himself he's happy with P4, but he'll be annoyed if he doesn't get a podium. I know Nathan Barton. And he will want this move, and in fact, he's lost a lot of time here. As was that a hitting the wall there for Vaporizer, possibly, on the exit of the swimming pool? We've got 12 laps to go, including this one. And our leaders are actually very, very close. Shame it's manufactured and fully scripted here between Montana and Cucumber. I mean, Cucumber would need a mistake from Montana to make an overtake. Doesn't matter how close he gets, he's not going to do anything. Just opened up Reddit and seen an absolutely wild headline. I cheated on my boyfriend with the girl he wanted us to have a threesome with. How do I go from here? You don't. You tell him you break up with him, love. Poor guy when he finds out. Nathan's catching again, but again he's not catching enough. Vaporizer's hoarding his ERS. He's got so much in pocket, nearly 80%'s worth. And Nathan's having to use his, but the longer this goes on, the more Nathan's tyres ain't going to be it, and the more his tyres ain't going to be it, the more he's going to struggle to put pressure onto the banana car in front of him. In fact, he looked out closer to Nathan than Nathan is to Vaporizer on this lap, and Nathan will hit a point where he'll be like, yep, these tyres are gone, I don't need to push them anymore. And in fact, Alp goes through. Was that a deliberate swap around from Alp and Nathan? Because I didn't spot Nathan have a really poor exit. That looks like a deliberate switch, which is, if it is a deliberate switch, that's as bad as Montana and Cucumber's definitely not deliberate undercut that happened. I mean, Alp's clearly thinking, I'll have a go. I know these guys are in a party together, so that's suspicious, as is the NSX drivers suspicious. I mean, the NSX at least made it less obvious if it was deliberate. If it wasn't deliberate, I apologise to Nathan and Alp, because it just certainly looked that way. Have we got anything happening? What's crack-a-lacking? Gary still very close to Izzat. In fact, he's very, very close to Izzat, and this is going to be his best position now. But Gary, again, chicken, doesn't want to go for it. Izzat goes deep. There was space for Gary if he'd wanted to have a send. Couldn't be bothered. He couldn't be bothered. Let's see if anything can happen with the DRS. Izzat had a little wiggle out of Raskas. Gary needs a clean exit. He gets a clean exit. ERS goes straight on. He didn't mess up any of his shifts. Here we go now towards turn 1. Gary needs to try and force Izzat to make a mistake. There's a point you just got to send it. You just got to try and send it. And Gary is too chicken to do so. I would make chicken sounds, but I don't think I have the vocal range for that. Here we go. There we go. Gary's race summed up. Nathan, Alp and Nathan as well, because they were all too scared to send it. Have an overtake, have a go. Who cares if your car ends up in the wall? Shout out to Felipe, who is going to be the only guy not to get a point. And he's about to get the only driver about to get lapped. So this will be fun. The two leaders are very close to each other still. Montana can't really do too much, it seems. So you're on taking 2 stops? No. I'd love these guys to crash. Not because I don't like them, they're lovely people, just because I think it would be entertaining from my point of view to give me something to talk about. Oh, Verstappen's passed Gary. What's happened to Gary? What did he do? Why is he so slow? Where did he make a mistake? Who knows? Verstappen's now P7. My bad, I missed it. Let's have a look at people's fastest lap times. That's a fun thing to do. 1:10.9 for Spine. 12.2 for Felipe. 12.2 for Rocco. 12.1 for Mohammed. So 12.5 for Izzat. It's the slowest fast lap of the race. 12.0 for Vaporizer. 11s for the leaders. 11.4 for Montana. Montana's fast lap is slower than Gary's. The Gary is on the other strategy, so Montana's isn't that bad actually. Look how close Vaporizer is. It's a shame. He's absolutely sweet F all in the context of the race. He's not going to try and overtake anybody, and it's just really boring, to be honest. Going around the outside, going to the right, going to the left, but at the end of the day, you're still not going to try and overtake, are you? Because what would be the point of that? What's happened to Gary? Where's Gary at now? He's now behind Sweet Crown. So Gary is just really slow. Has he got damage? Or did he just like drop it or something? I don't know. It doesn't look on board like he's got damage. Oh, actually, no. Maybe. So we've got a paddy battle for P6 now between Izzat and Verstappen. Can Verstappen succeed where Gary failed and make an overtake around Monaco? Izzat gets a penalty, Verstappen doesn't need to, and that's just absolutely killed this race. Like, the only organic fight we were going to have, because Alp's got a penalty behind Vaporizer as well. There's no point in him making that overtake. Don't worry, gang. 6.5 laps to go. You could all go do something else. I can't. I'm stuck here because I don't want to get into trouble. Alp gets the power down. But again, Vaporizer is just saving his ERS so well. And he's getting the exit he needs out of Portier. That there's nothing really that Alp can do. Our leaders are still running in semi-scripted synchrony here. Nothing else is really happening. We've got Spine v Rocco. That's a battle where no one's got any penalties. Let's see what Vaporizer can do in terms of an exit out of Portier, because this is where, like, I think he's winning this battle really. Yeah, look at how much he just pulls away on the track from this. Alp cannot live with him at all. Alp is just, Vaporizer is just completely nailing Portier every single lap, and that's really all he needs to do, to be honest, to win. to take that P3 because of Alp's penalty. You know, he could. I'd say we're also at a point anyway where Alp can pass. We won't have the tyres to make the 3-second gap. There's a bit of rear locking there. Back steps out. Alp has to just gather the car in. 2 tenths is now the gap between our leaders as they came up the hill. And it's going to be so frustrating for Cucumber. He knows the only reason he's not won this race is he pitted a lap later. There's been no reason on track why Montana should win this race. Just Cucumber either agreed to pit a lap later or just got duped with the strategy and his brain wasn't switched off. Either way, I don't see him winning this race with 4.5 laps to go. He needs a penalty for Montana to transpire. Speaking of, let's go into race director. Has Montana picked up a warning? 1. Has Cucumber picked up a warning? 2. So he's living a little more dangerously. What about Vaporizer? 2. 1 of those this lap. So there's still a chance for some movement to happen with penalties in relation to our leaders. It looks unlikely that Montana's going to get one unless he starts sleepwalking for the last couple of laps. Alp's back off now. Oh, excuse me, that's the effect this race has on you. Looks like he's given up. Verstappen's backed off from Izzat. It looks like he's given up. Let's see what's happening, what's crack-a-lacking in Division 3. Finlanam says, hello. Hello, Finlanam. How are you? I am a killer, and I am very bored. See where Division 3 is at. Division 3, I'm sure, will be much more exciting than what's going on here. 4 laps to go there. Cool Kickers winning from Connor O'Keefe. It's a battle of the big C's. And we've got Hepuli Boy in P3, Farrell's in P4, Cracks in P5, MCR's in P6, then Cam K, Matt, and Jordan. There's 5 DNFers there. We've had 6 in this one, but there's only 15 starters over there, which is a third of the field has dropped out. Verstappen's pulled in a little bit again, might be having another go. Alps closed in again on Vaporizer. He needs to go for it. He needs to take the risk if he wants the podium. He's got and he hits the wall. He's got no time to make those 3 seconds back. He's got no visible damage, but it might be a little bit of performance damage. Oh, excuse me, I'm yawning again. Less than 3 laps to go. Let's all celebrate. Cucumber, oh, he had a moment over the curb at the second part of Swimpool. He was as close as he'd been. He is as close as he's been still as they come through Anthony Nose, but it's about the exit. You can't get the exit. You've got to be nose to tail, and he pulled out, had a look, couldn't do anything, and then up the hill, he's not close enough. I think that might have been his chance. As Alp is going to come into the pits. Do you pick up damage? Or is he going he's going fastest lap because he's got that gap to his side. He was going to lose out to Nathan anyway on penalties, which makes sense. And there's a nice big gap in front of Izzat and Verstappen. So Alp, fair play, he's going for the fastest lap. He's going to go and get fastest lap. With 1.5 laps to go, our top 2 are split by 0.4 of a second. We've got yellow flag. Felipe's retired now at the Nouvelle Chicane. It has no bearing on the race because he wasn't getting a point anyway as Rocco passes Mohamed. Mohamed actually made a mistake out the last corner. He's down to P12. Rocco up to P10. Rocco's going to take 3 points at Monaco. He will be loving that. On to the last lap we go now. If Keegan wants to win this race, it's now or never, but that slide out of Sandoval will do him no favours. Nathan is over a second down of Vaporizer. The top three, it is going to be an NSX shutout at the top of the standings in the Principality here. Nathan will be over the moon with 4th place from Monaco. Alp has got 1 lap to nail to get that fastest lap along with the P5 he was guaranteed anyway. Izat is still leading Verstappen and Sweet Crown P6. Gary never recovered from that mistake. He's struggling with Sweet Crown, makes a mistake. Gary, without a penalty, is going to gain 2 places from this. These guys are so close. But no one can do anything on track here. There is no reason to start on hards. I said it's a stupid strategy. It's a stupid strategy. Let's go back to our leaders. It's Montana, who, through a pit stop, has surpassed all else here in Monaco. He's going to extend his championship lead with Justas retiring. Montana wins from Cucumber, and Vaporizer is going to take a distant 3rd place, but a strong drive from him. He's batted away pressure all race long. And he's going to lead Nathan across the line. Nathan will be ecstatic with that P4. It's going to be Alp and Izat in 5th and 6th, somewhat distant. Will Alp get a penalty? Mohammed retires on the last lap of the race from P12. It's going to be 11 finishes here. He will get a point as Alp does set the fastest lap of the race. Izat is going to fend off Verstappen, Sweet Crown, Gary. Sweet Crown's made a mistake because he's 3.3 seconds off now, and he slipped well back from Verstappen. Gary's fallen back with him. Maybe a contact between those two? Not too sure. Izat takes 6th. He's beaten by Verstappen on penalties. He'll be very happy with that. Gary will take 8th ahead of Sweet Crown. And we've got contact and battling away here between Rocco and Spine for the last surviving place on track. It's 10th for Rocco, 11th for Spine. And thank God that is over. Gary says his pedals died that race, which is why he was so slow. Let's go through the order then. It was a 48-minute race, just shy of. Montana wins from Cucumber, Vaporizer, Russell, Alp, Verstappen, Izat. Gary takes 8th in the end. Sweet Crown, 9th. Rocco gets an impressive 10th. Spine was 11th in the last finishes. Mohammed will get a point for DNFing in 12th. Then Felipe was the first of our DNFers, and then Justas, Pease, Malektis, Marty, Ghost Falcon, and Jewelbury, all failing to make it to the flag. That was 8 of our 19 starters failed to finish. And I am going to wrap up stream immediately because I need to host D2, and also no one wants to talk about that race a minute longer. I think you've all left anyway. Yes, we're only down to 3 reviews. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Catch D2 and D4 in a mo. But from me, until next week,